Hmm. Oh, I should have watched that Star Wars trailer.
It's only like 2 minutes. You could.
You could bang it out.
Whatever. I'll have you describe it to me.
Imagine.
How do you like Force Unleashed?
That is it's all right.
Imagine that, but it's 2019. That's kind of what it looks like. I don't know. It looks a little better than Force Unleashed.
It does. I guess.
Well, we should talk about it once we start.
Yeah, we'll
talk about it. We can maybe lead off with that.
Burning podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I'm looking at the website right now, and all this social media stuff at the top. That's nice.
Oh yeah, that's been there for a couple months, I think.
I didn't notice.
Wow.
I don't go to the site very often.
Wow. It's not your homepage.
Maybe it should be. If only. So I've got Oh Hi Mark as like a little flippy thing, but if only we could mine people's personal data from their browser and then have their own name show up.
Oh God, that sounds like a nightmare.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are random, like from a list.
So. Oh yeah, no, I know those are there. But if we could harness the power of the cloud
and big data.
Yeah, harness the power of big data energy.
No.
How do I sound? My mic is further away than normal.
It sounds further away, but it's still fine.
Okay. Well, I just moved it slightly closer. My desk situation is new, and it's a mess. Even though it should be. Yeah, I moved it closer.
What's the neighbor situation? Are you allowed to speak with more authority now?
Yes, no, I can speak. My neighbors like stomp around. There's like a teen girl and then like a younger girl who live upstairs, and they stomp and like play piano at like 11 p.m.
Sick.
But like it's not like so loud that it's like keeping me up. It's just like, oh yeah, I never hear people talk. Maybe like once I've heard some like talking, but it's usually just like stomping around and like, oh, there's a couple piano keys at like 11 p.m. Like, what the hell?
So weird.
It's creepier than it is annoying.
I mean, it's kind of nice to have like neighbors that are a little bit loud, but not super loud, because then you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So I don't feel guilty about anything. But there is the times where it's like, oh, like there was like an explosion in this movie and they stomped. Is that because they want me to turn it down, or is that just them being noisy? And then. So
I've had those relationships with neighbors, and it can be a little frustrating.
I haven't interacted with these people at all, but So, and then like our other neighbors, like they have the mirror of our apartment, so like our bathrooms and shower are right next to each other, but then everything else is as far away as it could possibly be from each other.
That's cool.
That's
I just have the people upstairs, which is nice, and it seems better insulated than my previous apartments.
Are you on a ground floor?
Yes. So that means we have to deal with bugs. But
Frank caught a spider today.
Was it a big one?
No, I felt kind of bad because I like spiders, but I also don't want to stop them from being a cat. So
yeah, that's the only time I usually will take them. Well, depends. If they like make a little web up in the corner of a room, I usually will just leave them alone because it helps with like gnats and stuff that get inside. But if I see them crawling around, I'll take them outside. But if Buster gets to them first, then it's
it's all good. It's fair game.
That's the rule of the wild.
All right. Well, I think I'm ready.
Maybe. What videos should I have queued up for you, Andre?
Sekiro, I guess, is the Baba Is You. I don't know if how much that's been talked about.
Not very much, actually.
Okay. Sekiro, Baba Is You, Resident Evil 2.
Okay.
I played a lot of that. It's probably good.
Okay. I'll grab those 3. And
I
then...
started playing The Purge, but I haven't gotten far. Or The Surge. The Surge. I haven't gotten far enough, though, to talk about it. I can't even remember the name of it.
I actually played a lot of Satisfactory last weekend, too. I don't know. I kind of want to like talk a little bit about that as it relates to Astroneer, but sure. I don't know that you need to. You can have a video if you want,
just in case.
I also don't want to like make us talk for 2 hours, so I already have some stuff.
Sure, and I don't have very much to talk about, so it's fine.
All right, well, if we feel like we have time.
I've got like 2 months of video games to talk about, so
we're gonna be here for 2 hours at least.
2 hours of Resident Evil 2.
Spelled that wrong. Satisfactory. Quick look. Let's see.
It'll be an unfinished because it's not out yet.
Got it.
They did a like 2.5 hour stream, so there's also that.
Yeah, this video is like an hour long, so I'll put it next to your stuff. And yep.
Anyone else like what the fuck are they doing? Oh, we'll save it for the podcast. Never mind.
Start the podcast.
We can talk about Borderlands 3.
Yeah,
start talking about that already. Did you talk about that?
Yeah, we talked about it a little, but not a lot.
Yeah, I probably don't have anything to add. All right. Are we ready?
Born ready.
Oh, wow. I was born to podcast, that famous Bruce Springsteen song. Hello, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and gender neutral thing for gentlemen and ladies. Oh, God. I'm out of practice. This is episode 65 of Gaming Fix on April 14th, 2019, or April 13th, depending on which side of the date line you are on. That's right. After a month and a half, I, Andre Cole, I'm back in the hosting seat. I am joined today by Alex Galinas.
Hello. Are you changing your PSN ID?
Yes, I have not yet. I don't really play online games, but yes, I will be changing my PSN. Nice. ID, and then it'll be something inappropriate, so they'll change it again for me. And then I'm also joined today by Pat, best boy.
Hello, I'm virtually at Star Wars Celebration.
Did you get the digital ticket?
No, they don't have a digital ticket. I wish they did.
You're gonna get like the mount for the Old Republic.
It sucks. Wait. Is that a real thing? That's not a thing. They don't have to ticket. Because if it is, no, it's a bummer because there's a bunch of panels that look interesting, but they're not streaming them. Because
like I was thinking about this yesterday. Like I'm surprised Marvel hasn't like there's Comic-Con, but like Marvel hasn't done like a Marvel Con thing since the cinematic universe started up. Because like there's a lot of those movies. They're very successful.
Yeah, but it's not Star Wars.
It's not like there's not extended universe stuff, but like I mean, I feel like with like the comics and the shows and the movies,
yeah, for sure.
At this point, that they could have.
You would think that would have been a thing that existed prior to the Disney acquisition.
I mean, maybe. I mean, the Comic-Con, but then as it like grew and became into its own thing, I wouldn't have been surprised if they had started their own convention, but get 30 extra minutes in the ball pit or whatever.
I guess
Captain America didn't show up.
Before we get into that, should be noted that our own Allison is currently at Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah,
she is hounding Vince Zampella for information on the Fallen Order.
Yep.
I think we heard everything we're going to hear about that game. I don't think there's anything else really to know.
Not believe in Allison's ability.
That's fair. But the trailer had more information than I thought it would because it had a release date.
Yeah, exactly.
That I saw leaked out last night for me. Yesterday morning, I saw Nibellion or Nibble, whoever on Twitter tweeted out like a pin that had the release date on it.
Yeah, and I mean we already knew that it was
this
year, so like it's not that wild to find out what it is for real. I'm extraordinarily surprised that game is supposedly out in 7 months and we haven't seen any gameplay of it at all.
Well, it's because they just had to scrap everything and restart production from the start. Much like other
What do you mean?
They,
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were serious or not.
No, they have restarted production in the last week and are starting from scratch.
Yes, yeah. Let's hope not.
I'm surprised it's not a next gen title.
Fallen Order?
Yeah.
I mean,
it would have to look like a next gen game for that to happen.
Also that, yes.
I mean, they said, hey, it's coming out. It's like, they need to get a game that people like. And maybe this game isn't what it is, but they need to get like a Star Wars game that people like out. And I don't know. They need like positive press on a Star Wars game.
Everything they said about the gameplay of this game sounds like really, really cool. So I'm definitely don't want to come off as too negative on it, but I definitely, looking at that trailer, like it doesn't look, the stuff in that trailer, like visually didn't look even as good as gameplay from Battlefront 2, in my opinion. Like it's definitely,
that's like are they using Source? Like, we don't, but like, that's like,
it's Unreal. It's Unreal Engine.
Yeah, but there's Unreal Engine games that look absolutely phenomenal. And I thought Fallen Order was very much like, this looks like it could have been made 3 or 4 years ago, probably. Mm-hmm. Like I was a little surprised that a AAA single player Star Wars adventure came out of the gate with visuals like that, which isn't to say it looks bad. I don't want to say it's bad looking, but
so
I expected it to be like Horizon or
I haven't watched the trailer yet. It's 6:30 in the morning where I am. But I wonder if part of that is just like, frame rate. We want to hit at least 30 on like the base consoles and 60 on like the X and the Pro. Like, I can't say. I guess we don't know that information, but Respawn, they make Titanfall and they make Apex Legends, and those are pretty tight games, and they probably want to make like a experience that feels good. And if they're like, we can have less, slightly dated visuals, whatever that means. Again, I haven't seen it, but if that means they can make the frame rate better, like
maybe, but I don't know. There's a lot of games that look better and still have good frame rates on current consoles than what they showed in that trailer. But that trailer is also, it was all gameplay assets rendered in engine, but all cinematic, no gameplay shown. So it could also be that they wanted to like that in gameplay, it looks really, really good. If it looks really, really smooth, and if everything kind of not zoomed in on looks better and has more pop, that could totally be the case.
So it's actually like a God game. So you're actually just like high up.
And again, I don't want to suggest that it looks bad either. It just, if a small studio put this out, like, or a small like indie game came out looking like this, I'd be like, oh wow, that looks really impressive. But to come from like the most valuable IP maybe in the world, from the largest video game producer maybe in the world, to say nothing about Respawn size, I was surprised. That's all. That it wasn't like, holy shit, this looks like, blow you away good.
Here's my second theory. If my first theory does not do it for you, they saw what happened to The Witcher 3, what happened to Watch Dogs, what happened to, I don't know, Spider-Man, Puddlegate. They made the game look bad for the reveal trailer. So that way, when it comes out and it looks better, gamers freak out and they're like, "Oh my god!"
To be honest with you, I could almost see that being the case, and I could almost see the trailer missing some like lighting elements or something, because it wasn't so much that like the models looked like, I don't know, the models in Battlefront look better than the models that they showed in the trailer. But again, that's a different engine. So
God rays.
But yeah, I mean, it could be that the lighting, and actually what I should say is that the lens, when it was pulled out a little bit more, when they showed like wider shots of like ships and stuff, that looked really, really cool. It was mostly the character stuff to me that was a little like, I was kind of like, this doesn't look bad, but also because it was presented in a cinematic way, I may be thinking of it as a cinematic thing where in motion, those assets might look really phenomenal in gameplay. I don't know. I think it's just wild that we haven't seen gameplay, and I'm now wondering if we're gonna see gameplay before the game comes out.
Obvious. Like, come on, E3 is just like 2 months away.
EA's not at E3,
but
they have the event,
and like they have games at people's like people shows.
So yeah, I mean, it could show up on the Microsoft stage. That's where I could see it. If they're going to relegate gameplay to a EA Play stream when they had people in an audience at Celebration watching the stream and stuff, that's weird because like, how many people are really going to sit through all of those EA Play streams? You know, like they'll have an audience, but this seemed like the moment if you were going to reveal it on a stage, you know, like gameplay wise, I don't know, but it could show up on Microsoft.
But like, I think the Star Wars Celebration is also the place where you can get away with not showing any gameplay because like people are just going to be excited. They're there for Star Wars. They're going to be excited about it being Star Wars, whether or not there's gameplay. So I think if they get people hyped about that, and then they come out at E3 and they show the gameplay, then
I guess I just think it's interesting. I have no more or less hype for that game, I don't think, than I did yesterday, which I'm very hyped for it because I love Respawn and I love Star Wars. So like all of my kind of misgivings that I'm airing right now kind of pale to the fact that I love that studio and I love that IP. So I'm going to play it and I'm very excited about it. But I feel like we didn't really get much information today beyond the release date that like, I don't know, like I'm not surprised by anything that they showed today, really. Like it looks very boilerplate, like what you would expect that thing to be.
Is there anything that would make you not play it?
I can't really think of anything. I mean, if people got hands-on at E3 and then came back saying it was really bad, maybe. But I don't know. Okay. I mean, it's unlikely that I won't play it. I probably will hold off on like pre-ordering it until I hear. I mean, if on release day, what'll happen is this is what I did with Sekiro. What'll happen is I won't pre-order it. The Friday it comes out, I'll pick it up on my lunch break, assuming that morning the coverage that comes out is fine. You know. So, yeah, I don't know. But I guess I'm just a little. I'm not disappointed. I'm just very much like, okay, you showed the thing. Like, you showed a trailer.
I'm watching this trailer and I don't know. I think it looks pretty good. Like it's like definitely a different style than like Battlefront. Like Battlefront's going for like photorealistic. This is definitely not going for that. I think it looks fun.
And maybe I'm not getting the style yet from what they've shown. And that's I had that thought too the second time that I watched it, as kind of like, maybe this is stylized in a way that I'm not picking up on because my current kind of like check for Star Wars stuff is Battlefront, since I've been playing so much of it. So like I'm comparing it to that when I shouldn't, because it's a different style entirely. So I don't want to come off as too negative about it, because ultimately I'm excited for the game. And the stuff they said about the combat is really cool. They talked about how it is designed to be a very methodical game, not one that you're button mashing a bunch. It's not trying to be God of War 3. It's trying to be God of War 4. I mean, again, I'm not saying that it sounds like it will be that game, but
so I've seen a lot of like speculation of people talking about this more like on Twitter and stuff, more than I've like, because I haven't heard anything of what they've actually said. Does it sound like it's more one-on-one fight focused instead of like fighting like hordes of droids?
So they talked about the place they talked about it most extensively was they talked about this Purge Trooper, which is like a new kind of enemy sort of stormtrooper that they made up for this game, and it's like a stormtrooper that has a like double, like a staff with like energy batons at either end. So you would assume that like that's your, you fight them with a lightsaber and they can block it and stuff. And so when they were talking about that enemy type, they said that was the first enemy that they rigged with AI, and that they built them to be enemies that you fight one-on-one. And they said that like at first they had to tweak it, because at first when it died in one hit and it was really easy to kill them, and they were only dangerous if you had to fight like 12 of them. And there may be encounters like that, but our focus is on making the fights much more intimate and like, and that you have to think about them more than just like button mash through them. So, I mean, it sounds kind of like it sounds like they're going for a more like
sounds like a game I've been playing actually.
Well, right. Yeah. I don't, the Dark Souls comparison there that from what they were saying is very easy and kind of maybe boring to
Dark Soul. Who's
well,
playing Dark Soul? I'm talking about the Surge.
From Software video games.
The Surge, baby.
Oh, okay. Sure. But Souls style stuff, it sounds a little bit like that. It sounds more like to be honest, it sounded kind of like the way that fights work in like Assassin's Creed Origins, where there's an emphasis on one-on-one combat and then it opens up into more. What I would love for it to be like is like The Witcher 1, where you're switching combat styles based on what type of enemy you're fighting. But I don't think it's going to be like that.
Oh, like Neo.
Or Devil May Cry.
Yeah, but I don't know. They did imply that like you'll upgrade the lightsaber over the course of the game and that you have a droid that you'll upgrade. My favorite funny moment of the panel was they showed this new droid, which is cool looking. I don't know. It's not as good as the droid from the episode 9 trailer, but he's cool. There's a droid called Dio from the episode 9 trailer.
I watched it. I don't remember the droid.
Dio's
so I'll
great.
watch it again, I guess.
Dio's great. They brought him out on stage at the episode 9 panel too. But anyway, they were talking about the droid and they were like, the droid is a companion. The droid has powerful abilities that'll assist you that you over time that you'll upgrade, such as a flashlight.
Ooh. Damn, they're already beating
Spotlight, but still, I was just like, oh.
Well, it starts off as a flashlight, and then it becomes a spotlight that can track, and then it becomes a tracking spotlight. So that way, when you do your musical numbers, it follows along.
I'm sure the droid's going to be really cool. I don't mean that as like an actual drag, but it was funny when they said like a flashlight or spotlight.
Hey, they're just aiming to beat Doom 3, so it's fine.
Yeah. Anyway,
tape mod on the
on the droid.
That game looks exciting. I hope that it does well. I also hope that Disney sort of redistributes the license a little more, so that more studios have a chance to work on games. Because
I wonder what studio would be better. Like, I mean, most studios, but I wonder which one would be the most interesting.
Well, I mean, I think Respawn is one of the studios I would want above most to make a game. But in terms of like, I just don't think any publisher should have a monopoly over that license because it's such a huge, vast license. Like, for example, the studio that makes the Rebel Galaxy games, they floated a concept.
TIE Fighter.
Well, no, it was more like a smuggler, like your Han Solo, and you're like doing like freelancer style stuff.
Shrindar.
Yeah, that sounded so cool. And the video they produced of it, proof of concept, looked awesome. And I would love to just see more studios like that are willing to work on nichier stuff, kind of develop games for the franchise.
How about this?
The PUBG X Star Wars.
The PUBG Corporation makes the Star Wars game.
Then you could have Harley Quinn and the Star Wars running around together. The Joker and the Star Wars.
I mean, that as silly as that is, like at the same time, I don't have a problem with the notion of like Stormtrooper skins in Fortnite or something. Like, I just think it feels like they could spread the IP around in a way that would allow for big money-making machines to make their thing that is hit or miss, but then also allow smaller studios a shot at doing something cool.
I guess it has the because they did the Thanos thing in Fortnite, right? So like,
oh yeah, that's true.
They could do like a Kylo Ren or like a
Darth Vader
thing, but like I wonder if EA having exclusive license to the Star Wars like game stuff like makes that not a possibility, even though it's not a Star Wars game. Just
I think that's the case. I mean,
no one company should have all that Star Wars.
Yeah. That's kind of how I feel. It's interesting, actually. I hadn't thought about it until just now, and it's all clicking in my head. So that Star Wars Vader Immortal thing actually looks very cool. I enjoyed
the VR thing.
Yeah, I enjoyed the trailer for that a lot.
Is that also Respawn?
No.
Okay.
It's actually being made at ILM X Lab, ILM Experience Lab, in conjunction with Oculus. Okay. So watching the trailer, I was like, it's weird that they don't just call this a game, because it's clearly like It looks like a VR game. Like you're like, you have the controllers and you're like touching stuff and you're pushing the throttle forward on a ship. They keep calling it a VR series, like it's like a TV show. Mm-hmm. It's probably because if they called it a game, then they'd be screwed, right? Because EA gets to make the games.
Maybe.
By calling it a VR experience.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it's coming out of ILM, you know,
who knows? It could be an interactive experience that's not really
well, right.
But yeah,
which is what it looks like. But it's sort of splitting hairs at that point, right? Like
it's a VR walking simulator.
Yeah,
in the Star Wars universe where you play as Darth Vader.
I don't think you have like an inventory or anything. You actually are not Darth Vader. It looks kind of scary because you're in Darth Vader's castle, but your
castle is Darth Vader has a castle.
Yeah, did you see Rogue One? He's got a castle.
Yeah,
it's on Mustafar.
He's got a big lava castle.
Yeah, lava castle.
Who's got a better lava castle? Who's got a better lava castle, Bowser or Darth Vader?
Darth Vader.
Alex? Well, Alex hasn't even seen the castle, so.
I mean, I've seen Rogue One. I just don't remember the castle.
Yeah.
There's like a whole big thing. It's like on the lava planet, and he's there. That's okay.
He meditates there and stuff.
Yep. It's not great. The lava's not great for his asthma.
I would think the mask filters all that stuff out, right?
You know,
you'd think so, but
he's got to have an air purifier in his bedroom.
He's got to change that purifier like every hour there, though.
Man, air conditioning on that must be a bitch.
Well, it's all in the suit. Man.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah. So video games, real ones that are out that you can play.
Well, should we? I mean, we already talked about that. Should we talk about the other unreleased video game we were going to touch on?
Borderlands 3.
Yeah.
I played that. I don't know. I played some of the. I played some of the enhanced Borderlands 1 the other day.
Yeah.
That they and like.
Did it run at like 7 frames per second, like that trailer?
No, it ran at like 144 frame, but also I don't have a 144 hertz monitor, so I had to turn on VSync because there was screen tearing. But it ran well. It's just, I was like, oh, yep, this is that same Borderlands from 10 years ago, and I'm just kind of bouncing around.
Oh, God, is it really 10 years?
Oh, yeah.
Something like that, isn't it? Close to 9.
Yeah.
Weird.
But like it's, I don't know, like it's, it feels pretty much the same, and like the early game stuff in Borderlands isn't great.
No.
It's 2009. It's very, very MMO. Like it's nice in that like you're in the world, and like as opposed to like an Anthem or a Destiny, where you have to like, okay, I go to the tower and I get my missions and I go out, and like they changed that a little bit in Destiny 2, but it's basically you do have to do a lot of the running back, but it's more like a WoW where you're just like, okay, I killed my 4 things, now I run back and I go back and kill another 5 things, and stuff like that. But
yeah, I played some Borderlands 2 a couple weeks ago, and I'm gonna play more of it when the 4K patch comes out for Xbox. It might be out now. I'm not sure. It wasn't when I reinstalled it or when I installed it and started playing. And I kind of maintained the writing was less grating for me this time around. At the time when I tried to play Borderlands 2 when it came out on PC, I just found the writing to be detestable.
Not a fan of Butt Stallion.
To be honest with you, I don't know what clicked in my head, but some of the claptrap writing made me laugh quite a bit in Borderlands, the early parts of Borderlands 2. I don't know why that is, because if you put it on paper,
Claptrap's birthday party is a pretty good mission.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some stuff he says early on that I genuinely was kind of laughing kind of hard at. And
your ability to walk in a straight line without dying will be
that kind of stuff I found pretty funny in the moment. I don't know if I was just in the right mood for it or what. But I don't know. I need to put some more time into it with 4K stuff to try some of the later weapons. I still think that the shooting in that game is just not good. It just didn't feel that good to me. It was very yes, I'm pointing my camera at a thing and I pull the trigger and it sure does make a light flash and then the bar goes down. But it didn't feel like I was like playing a shooter. It felt like I was like pointing at things and then stuff like there was just no feedback. Didn't feel like. So I don't know. I need to play some more of it. I didn't have a bad time because I thought the writing was kind of funny and like seeing the different effects that were popping up had a certain value to it. So like I wouldn't say I thought it was as bad as it wasn't as repulsive as I remember it being in the past for me, but I don't know. I hope that they give the game more weight in when Borderlands 3 happens.
I hope it's definitely a newer, like it's an evolution of that experience.
Sorry.
No, please.
I was gonna say, what's the most recent Borderlands product? Is it the Moon one?
Tales from the Borderlands.
Yeah, which is apparently good.
There was the pre-sequel, but that was not well received. It had like oxygen stuff on them, like so when you're out on like the surface of the moon, you needed oxygen, and then like you could get oxygen maybe by killing enemies, but also you were like on a limited time, and as you went through the game, you could increase your oxygen meter and stuff like that.
That's just not fun. That's an entire game that's an underwater level.
It seems like people who like Borderlands liked it okay. Or like big Borderlands fans, and more like the press didn't like it because like I was looking at people talk about it and people seem to be positive on it. It's just that like when you listen to like podcasts and gaming personalities talk about it, they didn't like it as much. So I don't know. I'm actually gonna, if I do get through Borderlands 2, I probably will pop that in and give it a try.
I would consider it, but also there's so much, like having not had internet for like a month and a half. There were a lot.
Oh,
of
you got a lot
to put in. Yeah, I got like Devil May Cry to catch up on, and
no, I would not blame
Occupation and stuff like that. But
yeah, I want to play the Occupation also.
I don't want to play too much. I don't want to play too much Borderlands before Borderlands 3 comes out, so I don't like burn out on it. Like I played a lot of Borderlands 2. Let's see, I've got 134 hours as of I guess last. So I bought it December 27th, 2012, and I got 134 hours in it. And that was like basically all in a year. And yeah, so yeah, I played all the DLC. So,
do you think Borderlands 3 doesn't have Anthony Birch attached to it, right?
Who?
He's the one who wrote Borderlands 2 and also wrote Tales from the Borderlands.
I don't know.
But I thought I remembered seeing that he's not attached to it anymore. So I don't know if that's a positive thing or a negative thing, honestly.
They tried to get Troy Baker back apparently, and he's like, nah. So I don't know what's up with that.
He's too big for it now.
Was he? I assume he's Handsome Jack, right?
Maybe. I don't know.
I've never played a Borderlands game, so I actually have. I'm not a great resource for this.
I honestly, I never notice Troy Baker in a game. Like he's not like Nolan North, where I'm just like, there he is.
Troy Baker's got some range, man.
No, it wasn't. He didn't voice Handsome Jack. So I don't know.
I think he was someone in Tales from the Borderlands. I think.
Yeah. Could be that they just didn't want to pay for him either.
He was the Atlas CEO Reese. What?
That's probably fine. Is Handsome Jack as awful as I've heard people talk about?
I mean, he is kind of like the internet meme. Like him and Claptrap are kind of like that. Yeah, I don't like. He's mean like GLaDOS, but he's not like. It's not like
clever.
Yeah, I guess like he's just kind of angry and yells a lot and says weird stuff like, I'm gonna buy a pony and name it Butt Stallion.
Imagine if like the Elusive Man like was on 4chan all the time.
Yeah.
Oh God, no.
Pretty much like that.
So like, wow.
Kinda, yeah.
I was gonna say it sounds kind of like what everybody expected friggin' Bulletstorm to be like all the time.
Sure, there's a little bit of that.
Yeah. Bulletstorm's like a lot more like sweary and like or like cursy.
Ooh, swear.
You take that back.
Not sweary 65.
Do not sully that man with that association.
He should be in prison anyway for his
for the controls.
And yet he still makes games with better controls than Bulletstorm.
What?
I don't know.
Bulletstorm? What? Are you fucking kidding? Are you gonna tell me that
Bulletstorm controls fine?
Worst controls?
No, I'm kidding. I just wanted to say Bulletstorm's bad because it is.
It's fine.
Like I'm not gonna say it's like the best game ever, but like, damn.
Let's try this. Bulletstorm isn't as good as a single sweary game.
If we're taking the product as a whole, then sure.
Yeah, we're taking the product as a whole. The problem with Bulletstorm is not the controls. You're right.
It's pretty good and dumb.
It plays fine.
You control a
came
dinosaur
out around the same time as Borderlands 2, not like super far off, because I played them around similar times. I would suggest you go back and revisit Bulletstorm, Pat. Since you've revisited Borderlands 2, that game's pretty all right.
I don't play games with Duke Nukem in them.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
There is that issue.
Not in 2019. I don't.
Anyways, Borderlands 3 is probably gonna be fine.
Man, I tried so long ago to pivot into like what we've actually been playing.
How about this, Andre? Yeah. We haven't heard from you in like 7 years. What have you been playing?
Yeah, I played so much Resident Evil 2.
Oh my god, you did. Did you get tofu?
I got like 6 tofus. Actually, I think it's like 5. Yeah, I think there are 5 tofus, or like, various rice cake adjacent characters.
Wait, and they
really?
I didn't know that.
I didn't either. I knew there were 3. So I watched someone do like a run with tofu on YouTube, Bok Bok Soup. I think it's Bok Bok Soup. He's a Resident Evil speedrunner. I watched him do the tofu run. And after you beat the tofu run, minor spoilers for like a side mode, you unlock 2 more. You unlock a mochi cake and cognac.
What?
And cognac is
just a bottle?
No. So it's not alcohol. It's spelled like Konja. I don't know. Cognac is like a root of some vegetable, and I don't like it. It's like jelly-ish, or like kind of like a thick jello. I don't like it. Anyway, so you unlock this character. They all speak in like really crazy Japanese voices.
That's good.
My girlfriend revealed to me that they speak in Kansai Ben, which is the like dialect for the area I live in.
Huh.
And so
it's educational.
Everything they say is like extremely thick Kansai accent.
That's amazing. But wait, sorry, is this even in the English? Like, English version? They're still speaking just Japanese.
Japanese. No subtitles.
Even better.
And I asked my girlfriend, I was like, what are they saying? She's like, I have no idea. My girlfriend is Japanese and speaks Japanese and is from Kansai. So but it's just, it's very funny. And they all have like some of the voices are like super high and like, konnichiwa, or like konnichiwa, and stuff like they arrange a whole, and then each one has like a different set of items. So like I think, what does tofu have? One of them, I can't remember what tofu has. Tofu just kind of has like a standard loadout, kind of, I think. Or no, maybe tofu is just all knives. Tofu's entire inventory might just be knives.
That's very good.
Like he has like 20 knives, and then like the mochi guy has like 30 grenades, and like stuff like that. And so and like that is just like a straight like linear path, and for every character it's the same, that mode. And every time you do it, so basically it's just like a time trial to see how fast you can get through. And so when you've got only knives, you have to rely basically on, okay, I need to get grabbed from the front and use the counterattack to stab this zombie. And then I've got like a half second of invincibility so I can run past this other guy. So it's pretty interesting and fun to like test your abilities and like knowledge of how like the AI works and, getting around people. And like, when you have weapons, when you have guns and stuff, like using your ammo in a conservative way to like, okay, if I shoot this guy in the knee, then I can run around instead of like having to take a bunch of shots to try and down every single enemy.
Sure.
So that's fun.
If you're playing as like Tofu or Mochi or Cognac,
Yeah.
are there specific animations for if you like a zombie chows down on you?
Yes, actually, they do lose bits of themselves. So, like, they will be like, cause as a big, they're just a square hunk of tofu with like a beret on, and they will lose. They lose. Yeah.
What if Capcom just made a game about that? That's what I really want to play. Like, just make a spin-off Resident Evil game where you just play as food items and you get eaten. That sounds really good.
So like when you get bit by this, usually you can get bit like twice, and then the third bite you're dead. Is usually how it goes. Sometimes you'll get lucky and like the bite won't actually take off a bar of health or whatever.
Sure.
But yeah, so as you get bit, like little bits of tofu will come off. And so you have like bite marks out of you, but they're like rather large in comparison to how large this tofu is. So, and like it jiggles when you walk, like, you know, they jiggle when they walk. It's like really silly. And like, you know, there's no arms. So like the knives are just kind of like on the side, and then like it twists and like stabs a knife into the neck of a zombie.
I wonder how many development resources went into making these, because
there are like literally there are like 5 or 6 of them, and like, you know, that's just like a palette swap, but you know, they had to they had to do voices, they had to, but I don't know if they just like had one person do like a bunch of voices or like multiple characters. I didn't look in the credits.
That's such a smart way though to add like extra content to the game with that's like effort, but not like a massive degree of effort.
Each one it's like a palette swap and then an inventory swap. Yeah, and you're just playing through the same level. And like tofu is part of like a Resident Evil 2 canon, like, you know, in the grand sense, as in the original Resident Evil 2, tofu was an unlockable character,
right,
along with Hunk. And so to get tofu in the remake, you have to beat the game and then beat Hunk's scenario, and then you can play as tofu. And then if you beat tofu's, then you get Cognac and Mochi, and then if you beat Mochi or Cognac's, then you get the last 2.
Sure.
And like, so people didn't know that the other 4 were in the game, basically.
That's really good.
Yeah. Resident Evil 2 is an incredible game. Everyone should play it. It's like, I wish they had done more with it. Because the A and B playthroughs are pretty similar. Like, there's like some remixed item placement, and like different, like puzzles have different solutions. But aside from that, it's basically the same after you get into the, like, aside from the very beginning of the scenario.
Sure.
So that's like the big thing where I'm like disappointed, I guess, about it. So I wish they had actually, because they have like so many more resources now than they did back, and like the possibilities are much greater than they were on like a PS2 game or PS1 game. And so if they had, you know, been a little more ambitious with that, I would have, like, this game would be like game of the year easy for me. But there's a room for something else to, you know, sneak in there and take that place. And I hope something blows me, like, it gives me as much joy as playing that game did. I tried my hand at speedrunning, but on PS4, like, you can't make use of some of the strategies, so like your times are not going to be as good. So I was around 2 hours, about, you know, give or take a couple minutes.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah. But like, you know, the best people are getting around an hour on PC.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
Does that game have any room for DLC that you can see?
I mean, sure, every game does. And like they did do some DLC, but it's not like story stuff. It's like The Last Survivor. It's like what if alternate scenarios. Like there's like one of them is like the mayor's daughter is kidnapped by the chief of police, and at some point in the game you see this girl's body on a table, But so this is what if she didn't get killed, and so you're playing as her and you're escaping and you're going to find her boyfriend.
And then her name is Ashley, and you get her to jump in dumpsters.
Actually, you do unlock like customizable. You unlock like accessories or something, I guess. And one of them, like, you know, you're unlocking heads to like put on these characters, so you can unlock a unicorn head or like a tiger mask or something like that. And you just run around and shoot zombies while you're wearing a giant like unicorn head. It's real goofy, and like some of them will give you like bonuses like infinite ammo.
When did Capcom get good again? Like they were bad for several years.
When did Resident Evil 7 come out?
2017.
Yeah,
since then.
Like, yeah, basically. I think probably had something good before that, but yeah, like the Resident Evil stuff. Everything they've been doing lately is just like beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't put out a bad game since
Street Fighter 5.
And I mean, even then, the gameplay in that was fine. It wasn't like it was just that the package was bad.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
man,
Monster Hunter was great.
Yeah,
Resident Evil's great.
Devil May Cry is great. There are now like multiple Resident Evil games if you count the remakes that are great, because like that Resident Evil 1 remake or port or whatever was really good.
But that was made.
Well, but it's still a thing they put out
over a decade ago.
I mean the port they came out with a couple years ago. They reported it. And
I know. But yeah, like, you know, they didn't make like that was made like, you know, over a decade ago.
Yeah. One could argue MVC Infinite wasn't great, but
that's true.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool.
On the non-fighting game front, they're killing it. I'm just waiting for Beautiful Joe to come back. But yes, the thing that I am nervous about is there's a rumor that Resident Evil 3 remake is actually further along than people are expecting, than people might think, but it's not being developed in-house by like the team that did the Resident Evil 2 remake or Resident Evil 7. And Resident Evil 7 or Resident Evil 8 is also getting worked on, but it's probably like a next gen title. I'm a little nervous about that. They incorporated. I'm trying to remember. I played 7 last year, and I can't. There are things about it I can't remember, like gunpowder. I think gunpowder was in it, maybe not, but gunpowder was a big part of 3, and that's like also. And they incorporated that into 2 in the remake, and it works pretty well. So I don't know. We'll see.
I could see Nemesis making a good comeback, like especially given the success of games like Amnesia and Soma and stuff.
Mr. X, he works well enough. There are some issues, but I think the PC modding community might take care of some of those, like getting rid of the safe room stuff, where like you can walk into a room and open a door, and he'll just like walk into the doorway, but he can't get into the room. So you just kind of stare at him.
Yeah, but like Nemesis was the big thing about Resident Evil 3, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
and like deciding, am I going to fight him or am I going to hurt him away and stuff like that.
Stars, and then you just fuck.
It's interesting to me that there's another studio doing. I mean, they can obviously share work and whatever, but it seeed like Mr. X was like sort of a prototype Nemesis for the next game. I had never actually done the B scenarios in Resident Evil 2 on the PS. Oh, he was in it.
He was in that. Oh, okay. But he wasn't in the main, like the original playthrough. So I didn't know him until I played this game.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he wasn't as like much of a so since he wasn't in the main scenario, he wasn't as much of a story thing, I guess. But so that's that. Anyone else want to talk about anything else they've played?
Well, I know you've been playing a puzzle game that you got hella stuck on.
Baba is a dumb bitch.
I would play that mod.
Someone tweeted out like something like, Baba is you being so hard is exclusionary to dumb bitches like me, and like I relate to that. And then they like made a thing. It's like Baba is you Baba is, and then a square that says bimbo, and you have to push bimbo into Baba is bimbo to win. Baba is You is a puzzle game for the Nintendo Switch and PC. The Steam, I assume. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
pretty much everywhere. Yeah.
I've been playing on the Switch. It's when you get stuff right in Baba Is You feel so smart, and when you can't, you're just like, what am I doing wrong? So Baba Is You, for those who don't know, is a game where there are statements that make up the rules spread out through the level, kind of. So yeah, Baba Is You is a statement made up of 3 blocks: Baba, is, and you. And then that means that the player, you, are controlling Baba around the level.
Baba is a dog.
But I have not seen a dog. Baba is a sheep, as far as I can tell.
Oh, I thought it was a dog.
Baba. I mean, come on, like, what noise do sheep make? Ba. So it seems like a child was like, oh, look at the Baba, and then told their parent, like, Baba is you, and then they're like, game idea. I'll make my kid feel so stupid with this incredible game that I've made. And so you, as Baba, are navigating around the level, trying to reach whatever the win condition is, which, for example, might be flag is win, which is another 3 boxes. So you step on the flag, you win. Okay, so that's... Then you can push these boxes around. So you could make it Baba Is You, and then take from flag is you, or flag is win, push is down below Baba. So then you've got Baba Is in 2 directions, to the right and going up and down, or going down, and then push win under Baba Is win, and then suddenly you win because Baba is now you and win. Is this all making sense? You've all probably heard about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like, just hearing about it's very difficult to describe. But so you've got tons of conditions, like wall is stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then so if you can get stop off of the wall is, or wall off of that statement, and then suddenly you can walk through walls.
Right.
And the game kind of progressively introduces new rules and stuff, which is, ideally how a puzzle game would do it, but sometimes it feels like impossible. And like the worlds kind of unlock levels in a not quite linear fashion. Like, you'll unlock one level, after you beat it, then it'll unlock like 2, but the one will be like, okay, here's level 2 and here's level like 7. Why? So, and then you kind of keep going from there. And sometimes for me, it's been easier to solve level 7 than it is to solve level 2. And so, like, I don't know if I'm just like not learning the lesson it's trying to teach me or what. I don't know, man. It's so difficult sometimes. And like some of the levels, there's not that much you can do, but I still can't figure it out. There's like only so many options for where you can push stuff.
This is in no way a commentary about us talking about it, so don't take it that way. But yeah, I feel like I heard it. This game suffered for me from everyone talking about it, and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I think I understand what the game's trying to say and do, and I don't really need to go down this road. Like it, I don't know. It was very much like, at first I was like, oh, maybe I should play that. It sounds like it's really innovative and interesting, and it still does. It still sounds like it's a great thing that they made. But I also am kind of like, okay, maybe I would just actually spend some time working on like learning to program better or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was it. In a way, it is like kind of like a programming-esque puzzle, because you're making all these statements,
right.
But
it's conditionals.
Figuring out conditionals, and like you know, because then you start getting things like and statements and and like the way you're building state is just, oh my God.
It just sounds like a game that is incredibly clever, but very frustrating to play when you can't figure the thing out. And I don't know if I have room for that.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally fair. I have not come back to it in a little bit. I've been able to play other stuff. So I haven't needed it, but like for $15, it's not like a huge ask for people. So, you know,
it's of course funny for me to say that, considering that my game of the year last year was Return of the Obra Dinn, which is like also a game that is very frustrating when you hit walls. So I definitely see irony in that, and I'm not encouraging other people to not play it by any means.
It's but like I could understand the logic of Obra Dinn, how it wanted me to, you know, logic stuff out. Whereas with this, sometimes I'm just like, I don't understand. Yeah, it was trying to teach me.
And I think that's what is a turnoff for me from what I've seen, is that I really enjoy adventure, puzzle, mystery, whatever you want to call it, games that have like that where the answer is there if you follow a path logically. And because I don't think like a programmer may say, well, Baba Is You is totally that. But because I don't think like a programmer, it sounds like I wouldn't have that same experience from it.
Yeah. Have you guys ever played like programming kind of puzzle games like Shenzhen or Human Resource Machine or like
Not really,
TIS or whatever? Yeah, they're interesting. And yeah, they do require kind of a different way you approach them, especially games like Shenzhen where it's straight up actual programming.
But it sounds like if you want the thing that Baba Is You is, it's about as good as anyone has ever made one of those before. So
and approachable.
Yeah,
definitely.
It starts off very easy, but it quickly becomes, what am I doing?
The struggle that I run into with games like that is like, once I start a puzzle, I can't put it, like I can't really feel comfortable like emotionally until I've solved it, you know?
That's not.
And so like having to quit in the middle of a puzzle would be really really not good for me. Cause like I play a lot of puzzle games before bed, right? Like to like, which is maybe the absolute wrong time to play puzzle games, but I play like Tents and Trees and stuff like that before I go to sleep. And it's really relaxing to knock a few of them out, but like I can't in the middle of a puzzle stop playing. When something forces me to stop, I then lay there like thinking about the puzzle and not being able to go to sleep. And so I can see that being frustrating.
Yeah.
For me, I totally have I'm done. I've exhausted like my brain energy for this moment, and I could put it down. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I'll have like a breakthrough where I'll just like, oh my God. And then I can go back to it or whatever. Or I can sleep on it and, you know, whatever works for me and come back to it when I'm ready. So, but yeah, if you can't to handle like letting stuff sit like that, then maybe this is not for you.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. I might try it at some point, but
let's see. The other game I've been playing is a game that I've actually had to step away from for a few moments, half an hour, eat something, come back, and then knock it out, is Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, from Soft's newest game. That game's real good. I am at the final boss, I believe.
Which I have heard is a motherfucker.
Your audio just got really weird.
You got really robot-y for a second there.
Oh, probably.
No, yeah, maybe. You're like cutting out and
choppy.
Echoing and choppy all at the same time. It's really weird. Anyway, the last boss is a motherfucker.
I know this is a terrible thing to say. The game's been out for like 3 weeks or whatever, but I'm still relatively early on. So I'm not gonna say anything other than that last boss is a motherfucker. Yeah.
It is one of the few times where I've gone, maybe I'm not gonna beat this game.
Wow.
Like,
Sounds like me with Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
Like, so there are
one of these two games is good.
Yeah. Game Boy Advanced version of Chain of Memory is pretty good in my opinion. But anyway, yeah, Sekiro is so it's FromSoft game, which means brutally hard combat, exploration around the world. The exploration in this is not as important as it has been in previous From games because you are not finding you're finding like new like side weapons or like prosthetics attachments to your prosthetic arm, like a spear or an axe, but your main weapon is always the same katana that you get from the beginning of the game. And you get, after you beat bosses, you get the ability to increase your attack power. After you beat like a few side mini bosses or whatever, you'll get prayer beads, which you can use to increase your health and your stamina or your posture meter. So it's harder for enemies to put you into a kill state. So yeah, that's kind of like the base level, like, okay, here's what you do, or, you know, for like stat increases and stuff. Then where it differs from like a Dark Souls is you're trying to parry as many attacks as you possibly can. Like if you play like a dex build in Dark Souls, you're probably going to parry more but I never play dex builds in Dark Souls because I'm bad and I can't parry. But after playing this, it makes me want to try parrying more, because that's what you have to do in Sekiro is you have to parry a lot, often, quickly, and it yeah. So as you parry in these fights, you build up or as you deal damage and as you parry, you build up a posture meter for the enemies. And the posture meter, once that fills up, they get into like a kill state where you stab them with your sword and then they die. Or if they're a boss, usually they have like a second state that they go through or whatever, second form. And sometimes that entails like them getting all new abilities, which is like, how could you? You like, especially when like you're early on and you're first trying, you're like, oh yeah, okay, I finally figured out how to deal with all their stuff in their first form. And all right, I made it through, didn't get hit much, and then they unleash like 3 new abilities on you in the next fight, and you're like, oh, my health, it's gone. Which is the worst.
Apart from that, does it seem pretty fair?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. Like it's definitely a thing where you don't want to be fighting a lot of enemies at once. In the Souls games, usually you can get around, but like, oh, I have a big weapon, so I can do like a big sweeping attack, and it'll take out a lot of enemies at once. You get some like combat arts that will like, oh, this one's like a spinning thing that lets me hit twice, and like that helps a little bit. But if you're getting surrounded, you're kind of in a bad spot. So you're trying to like stealth around and like backstab people, take them out, and then maybe go for like the mini boss or whatever is in the area you're in. So the stealth is pretty good. Like, you know, you get abilities as you go through that increase your stealthiness. So I can be like, oh, well, from far away, this guy can see me. But if I come back to this area later after I've gotten an ability that makes me harder to see, then I can like, oh, now I can jump over here and get around because for whatever reason, I'm more stealthy now.
It's definitely like, it's interesting how like the shortcut nature of Dark Souls changes a lot in Sekiro, because a lot of it is so much about like where you can push on the boundaries of the stealth mechanics, and like at what there's even like I've just mostly been in Hinata Estate recently with the Yuzo, the drunken, whatever his name is, still so super early on, but there's parts where it's like, oh well, actually I can aggro these enemies and then run away, and I can get to a safe point where they will run back to their points, and I won't be far enough in to aggro another set of enemies. So I can actually just not fight them, even though I don't have like a way around them. I can avoid the battle with them and still go forward to the mini boss, you know, without having to clear them out. So it's interesting the way that stuff like that is thought of and seems very deliberate.
Yeah. And also the grappling hook mechanic gives the levels like a lot more verticality than a Souls game. Like you get like some verticality in like, say like the library in Dark Souls 1, but like as you're able to like jump up and across and all around on these levels, it makes for really dynamic and interesting like level design, and also like allows you to like bypass certain encounters or like find your way around and then behind certain groups of enemies. Like the part Pat was at, like I was having trouble with that fight, and then I looked around a bit. I was like, oh hey, I can, if I come over here and I can take out these people and like stealth my way around a bit.
Yeah, I actually know how to kill him. I just haven't gone back and actually done it.
Oh yeah, no, it's even when you know how to do this stuff, like executing on it can still be hard. Like I've had plenty of fights where I'm like, I know exactly what I need to do, I just can't do it.
To be honest with you, I think the one thing that I'm finding, and obviously I need to play it more because I'm not that far, but the thing I'm finding that I like less than the other FromSoft games that I've played, and I should be clear, I haven't finished a FromSoft game because they're usually I hit a point and not that far in most of the time, and I kind of, but like the thing that is making me, I'm not going to go back and play any of the Souls games or Bloodborne until I get through Sekiro, at least until I decide I can't get any further. But the weirdness of the lore in those other games is a lot more propulsive to me than what I have seen so far narratively in Sekiro, which is not to say that it's bad at all. It just feels less, and I haven't gotten much into the like supernatural stuff. So maybe when I start hitting that, it'll be more interesting, but it's felt very much like less propulsive to me than the other games from that perspective.
Which is funny because like the narrative is much more in your face in this game.
Right.
But I think it does get a little more interesting and somewhat more unsettling because it's more based in like a real world.
That's cool.
At least, you know, like at least there's one thing where I'm like, okay, this is like extra like messed up. But
I think like a good example of it is like the gaping dragon in the first Dark Souls. When I first encountered that, I was like, I want to know more about this thing because it's so wild, and I want to know more about the world it inhabits because it's so wild. Whereas with Sekiro so far, I've seen a couple of the like giant people, but so far it's very much been like, this is good and it seems like there's an interesting story going on here, but I'm not fascinated by the creatures I've run into.
You'll get a lot more, and and it's a lot better about actually telling you about that stuff as opposed to like making go to a wiki find it or whatever.
That makes sense.
So you can, and like there's still, you can go to the wiki and find out a lot more, but it's pretty easy to like find like a cool thing, be like, oh wow, I read about this cool thing, and like, you know, got like a short little story that the game wanted to tell about it, whether it's in like the boss memory or whatever, and then go and do this other stuff. But
that's cool. And I think the gameplay part of it is great. I saw a really cool thing on Twitter that someone broke down that if you can put like a note highway, like they overlaid a note highway as if from Rock Band over footage of a boss fight, and then put the block timing in like with the video of the thing, and that was such a cool visualization of how rhythmic the combat in the game is. It was really, really neat.
Yeah, and much like Baba, I'm too stupid to make use of that information, and so I'm relying like entirely on just like visual like feedback, which is great since I'm playing on PC and the game's locked at 60, which is, you know, if I could get more frames, that'd be great. But so, you know, 60 is perfectly fine, you know, but more than fine. But and I can like super sample at more than 1440p, which is like good on FromSoft for making a good port of their game. I haven't had, and also apparently they have PS4 prompts in the game, like coded into the game, but not like available. So you have to mod them to like make them accessible. It's a whole thing. But weird. Yeah. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice is very good, and I would recommend people play it knowing full well that it is going to kick your ass. And like, accessibility conversation aside, like those games should have some options for people who cannot or do not want to deal with all the shenanigans.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not a designer, but it seems like you could solve a lot of problems if you just allowed the game to be played at a slower speed. If you were just able to slow down with a press, like
maybe, yeah. I don't know what it is.
From the people that I've talked to who play games with disabilities, a lot of it is that the timing windows are too tight to be able to comfortably keep up with if you're using alternative controllers or if you just by nature need to hold a controller differently or whatever. So if they could just slow the pace of the game down a little bit, if you just had some kind of bullet time that you could turn on, that seems like it would make the game far more accessible, and it seems like it would be a great option.
One of the things that's wild to me is they have so there's like sweeping moves and stabbing moves and grab moves, and it happens so fast that I can't actually, I never notice because I'm just trying to react to what I see the character, like the enemy doing. But a kanji, which a character will flash above your head and like red. So one, colorblind stuff right there. Two, it happens so fast that even as someone who like knows some Japanese and can like, differentiate that stuff, I never notice what it is. I have never once been able to tell what that is. So half the time, more than half, 90% of the time, I will do the wrong thing because I'm like, oh, a thing's happening. I'm just going to do I'm either going to dodge or I'm going to jump, and I'll guess wrong most of the time. And so that sucks. I wish there was a little bit better, but it's not impossible. They make it possible to read that stuff, but like in the final boss fight I'm at, the area it is makes it hard to read some of those character movements. So that's kind of garbage. But it is what it is. Yeah. So maybe I'll beat that game. Maybe I won't. I found a secret boss and that thing seems messed up too.
What is the secret boss I've seen? Because I've seen footage of the game.
Maybe. God, your mic is still just not doing it for us.
Yeah.
So weird. I don't know.
Yeah. Has anyone else been playing anything? I can't remember if I was playing anything else. Bob?
I've played, I don't know. I could probably talk for 4 to 5 hours about the games I played in the last week. We're not going to. Yeah. I only sent Alex a small handful of the variety of games that I've been playing, frankly.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Do you want to share what you've been up to, Alex, and then we can wrap up with stuff that I've brought?
Sure. Yeah.
Stay conscious of time.
Yeah. Mine.
Okay. Wait. Is there a way we can make Alex's mic work? Because this is not going to work if Alex.
I mean, Alex can deliver a monologue about it because I'm sure the recording's fine.
This recording's fine. Is it okay now?
What?
Is it okay now?
No.
Great.
Not at all.
I have no idea then.
Okay.
It sounds like this. I'm trying to tell you about a thing.
But also echoing.
Yeah.
That's strange. It's definitely not doing that on this end.
Let me see if I drop and rejoin the call if it helps.
Well, I'm gonna have to cut this from the edited version, y'all. But what I'll do is I'll step away.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry for the recorded podcast people or the people listening live. Technical difficulties. Let's get back in there now. If you can tell me if it sounds weird, let me know. Hello. Is that any better?
No.
Oh no, it's not any better.
Oh my god. What happened? Oh no.
Things are totally normal over here. So
you said it's okay on your end?
Yeah.
Like it's not coming through on the recording?
Yep.
Okay. We can make it work.
I'm just gonna double check that it's not coming through on the recording. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
we'll power through.
All right, cool. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of stuff that's not gaming related, programming stuff, blah blah blah. But when it comes to games itself, I only really played one new one that's worth talking about, and it came from my regular forage into Steam, where I kind of look at like new releases, what's coming out, what's something I've never heard of, and check it out. Maybe that's the same way I found like Heart of the Woods and stuff like that. So this time it is a game that I know that Pat, you've actually heard of because it's something apparently on your wish list, and it is called Superland.
Oh yeah,
So,
yeah. I'm interested in that.
It is an interesting game. It has a free demo that you can download, and it's actually a pretty substantial demo. You can probably get like an hour, maybe a bit more out of it on Steam, which is it's really generous. And that will very quickly let you know whether or not that game is for you. For me, yeah, I was looking at the description. I thought this game is probably not for me. But after playing, I don't know, a little less than an hour, I would say it's actually really good. What the weird thing about it is that it's extremely referential, which like for me can usually be really hit or miss. Like, you know, references can either be the best thing because they're really subtle, or they can just be on the nose and just be really annoying. This one, I don't know, it's clever with its references. It's stuff like you pick up coins and it sounds like straight up Mario coins, or you find a chest and it plays a Zelda like jingle, or you defeat all the enemies in an area and then it plays the Skyrim like dum dum sound. It's got like a straight up portal gun and stuff like that. Yeah, it's really good. And one of the things that surprised me about it, it's a one-person game. I think like one dude made it, and it's actually, it looks really amazing. Like visually, the visual fidelity on it is really high, which was kind of surprising. But I don't know. There's not that much more to say about it. Like I said, I just put in around an hour to it. Yeah, it's, I don't know. I have pretty much fully positive feedback about it. I'm going to play a bit more of it and see. Apparently, the full game is like, I don't even know, like 20-something hours.
Yeah, I heard some weird stuff about where the game goes that makes me interested in trying it at some point. I have like 15 bajillion games to play, so I don't know when I'll fit it in, but I'm interested in it.
I have not heard about where it goes.
Oh, I have heard there are some things. I have heard some things that have to do with, you know, religion and specific religious iconography that sound very interesting later on in the game.
That has not shown itself at all in the first hour.
Yeah, not in a problematic way, and in like an intriguing way, where I'm definitely curious to see what that means.
Yeah, like I would say it's been very straightforward for the first hour or two. As in, there's nothing to. The story is very straightforward. It's not particularly deep.
Yeah, it sounds like it does some. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's like super subversive or anything, but it's definitely I heard some things that they talked about on the Giant Bomb video that they did of it that sound very interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'll look forward to that. Yeah, I'll get deeper into that game and maybe let you know. Either way, yeah. Superland, go to Steam, you can get a free demo. Pretty worthwhile.
Cool. Did you play anything else, or was that your?
That was it. I've had a really busy week otherwise.
Cool. Yeah. I've had a busy week playing a bunch of video games.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't know. I think because this is what always happens to me, because I like went really hard on, like, I played 2 Devil May Cry games and 2 Kingdom Hearts games in the space of like a month. So I have spent I'm still playing through Kingdom Hearts 2 and, you know, making progress, but I spent the last couple weeks like bouncing around a ton between a bunch of different things. That is kind of how I cope with grinding out games in quick succession. But it's been fun. I think I will briefly say there's a couple I can touch on pretty quickly. One is I am like fully engulfed in Star Wars fever currently because of, you know, Star Wars Celebration is happening. And even in the lead up, for some reason, like I just was like very, very, very keen to play a lot of Star Wars stuff. So the other night I was like, really like couldn't figure out what I wanted to play. I didn't want to start another new video game because I've all the other stuff that I'm trying to play. I didn't feel like playing any of the stuff that I had, like that I was working through. So I reinstalled the 90s classic X-Wing, the original X-Wing from LucasArts. Yeah. Technically, I'm playing the 1998 special edition because that is the Steam actually gives you options between playing the CD version and the special edition. I don't believe you can play the original DOS version through Steam, but I'm playing the special edition. I actually just I fiddled around with some Joy-to-Key stuff. I have a CH Products fighter stick, which is a really, really solid joystick if you can handle Hall joysticks, which means it's not it doesn't sit on a ball joint. It has 4 springs in it. So they're called hallways because you push the stick forward, you pull the stick back, you push the stick left and right. You can do diagonal movement, but it's it feels very much like there's 4 springs instead of a ball that it's sitting on. Which I like that kind of stick. And it works great for X-Wing, surprisingly. I ended up just giving up on trying to Joy-to-Key stuff and instead just played with the default settings and had a blast. That game is so good still. There's no one has made a better mission-based space sim, in my opinion, than, aside from TIE Fighter, obviously, which I personally like Rebel ships more in Star Wars, so I lean towards X-Wing, but obviously TIE Fighter had a deeper narrative and was improved in a lot of ways. But those games are still the gold standard in my opinion. Wing Commander is good. But the how quickly you go from booting the game up to having an understanding of its systems and being able to play it, even though it feels like you're playing something super simmy, is just so cool. And I wish that someone had figured out how to replicate that. If you look at games like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, those games are kind of going for a sort of similar faux simulation realism, but there's something just missing. It's just a bit off. Even though there's just a few too many systems or something. Whereas with X-Wing, it's just power management, shield management, and weapon management. And it all fits together so well. And it makes you feel like you've got your hands on the controls of the ship. Because I'm hitting buttons on the keyboard to pull shields around and stuff, and then also doing the twitch shooting, and it's very, very cool. So I played it back then to death, but it's a fun game. I recommend that anyone who has an interest in space simulation, you should pick up. It's on GOG and Steam and stuff. It's very easy to get it to run on Windows 10 now, and you can play with a controller or with a joystick. I highly recommend checking it out because it's very cool. I think you played it, right, Alex?
Yeah, I played all TIE Fighter, X-Wing, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. Yep. My first one I played in the series was Balance of Power campaigns for X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, but then I went back and played everything when I was young. Have you ever played any of those, Andre?
Nope. I did not have a computer that would play it. Maybe, I don't know.
That makes sense.
And also, I wasn't a super into Star Wars kid.
That makes sense. Yeah,
I enjoyed it enough, but for computer stuff, I was playing Flash games or Shockwave games on CartoonNetwork.com.
Yeah,
and edutainment games, like a Snoopy one, and there was one on a pirate ship. Let's see what else. The one where it was a Tonka branded oh, you're gonna build a road.
It's kind of playing this is kind of making me want to. You can emulate GameCube games in 4K with Dolphin Emulator. Playing this is kind of making me want to emulate Rogue Squadron 3 and Dolphin because I really like Rogue Squadron 3.
You're gonna get us all arrested.
I own a copy of Rogue Squadron 3, so, and I own a GameCube. Technically, it's not in my current possession, but my mother has my game.
You're like, oh no, I'm going to pull it back.
Rogue Squadron 3.
Make it worse.
Anyway, Rogue Squadron 3 is really, really good, and I would love to play that game again, because I played it a lot on my GameCube and with my copy that I legally own. But also, that's really true. That's not just me saying that to not get in trouble. But anyway, yeah, the Star Wars ship games have been very good in the past, and I played some of that, and then immediately played some Battlefront 2 Starfighter battles afterwards, and like it was great because like simultaneously I was like, man, no one has really done Star Wars space combat as well as LucasArts did then, but also like, man, Battlefront 2 Starfighter Assault mode is really cool, and flying spaceships in Battlefront 2 is really good. It's not as good as X-Wing, but it's really good. So yeah. Anyway, I played that. I can also quickly knock out. I played some Totally Accurate Battle Simulator.
Ooh.
I don't know if either of you have had any time with that.
No, I've just watched the Twitter account for that post various like jokey videos, like here's 100 Iron Man versus like 10 Hulk.
It's a fun thing. It's silly. It's much more appealing to me than that Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator, I think, is the other one that is kind of the same premise. That one is much more sandbox. I mean, you can get very sandboxy with Totally Accurate Battle Simulator too, but there's like campaigns in it that are actually pretty puzzly and in a way that is fun. And the physics in it are really, really entertaining. It's less about the other one. Ultimate Epic Battle Simulator is more about like enemies colliding and then doing like health damage to each other and stuff. Whereas I'm sure Totally Epic Battle Simulator has some of that, or Totally Accurate Battle Simulator has some of that math going on, but it's mostly like if someone gets clocked on the head, they die. It could be the club unit or like something way more powerful. It's more about like what armor they're wearing and what weapons they have. And like their size. That's the kind of stuff that really sets the units apart. And it's really, really funny and really, really entertaining to play. It seems like the kind of game that could get a little bit old. Like I don't know how much, I don't know that I would want to play these campaigns. Like, I don't know if I want to play a dozen of these campaigns, but it's really entertaining and I'm really excited for them to add more units. I wouldn't say that the content in the current early access release is too thin, but I'm also very excited for them to add more factions of units because like you can see them in the menu, what they're going to be. There's like a Ninja Star and like a flintlock pistol and I can't remember, a halberd. So you can tell it's going to be like Napoleonics and like ninjas and pirates and stuff. And that's all sounds very, very fun. There's amazing units. Like there's a unit that is in a wheelbarrow and it like rockets around the battlefield and like there's someone in the wheelbarrow throwing rocks. And there's a unit that's like a Viking longship, but there's no water. So it's like a Viking longship being carried by like 4 dudes. And so they like drop it on people and it creates this big mess because it's like a pile of junk and people and this huge boat. So I don't know. It's very, very fun and a good quick hit of fun. Like right now in it, there's like probably like 50 or so scenarios between the 2 campaigns. And then there's a sandbox mode. There's a unit creator apparently coming, which sounds great. So yeah, I don't know. It's fun because it's a very quick, like you'll open up a scenario and there'll be a bunch of enemies and you can say like, wow, I wonder what would happen if I just threw like 40 or if I just threw like 6 mammoths at this situation, woolly mammoths. And even if you know you're going to lose and that's not going to do it, there's a very quick, like, okay, I saw that. It was funny. Now I'm going to restart and actually try to puzzle this out.
Put a whole bunch of Randy Ortons in there, just doing arcade.
Yeah. So the unit creator, I mean, if it's got workshop support, I think. So like if people actually make some wild units in the unit creator, it could be really, really cool. Yeah. And it's a funny game. It's just very satisfying too of like there's a ballista unit and it just fires one huge ballista arrow and it catches people in the head and then it like makes them fly across the map.
Nice.
Very, very satisfying. That kind of stuff in that game is like really, really funny and satisfying, and lots of good audio too. The characters make these like crazy noises that are really funny and stuff. And there's a lot of variety in the units right now too. So I recommend that. It is like $15 something like that. So it's definitely worth the cost of entry, I would say. But the thing that I kind of wanted to touch on a little bit more heavily is I played less of it, but I played a good chunk of Satisfactory, and also a decent chunk of Astroneer. And I'm finding like the parallels between them to be very, very interesting. And then the differences between them to be interesting and how they handle different things. So I'll talk a little bit about Satisfactory first. Have either of you seen Satisfactory at all?
I have not, but I've heard about it enough that I understand what it is.
Yeah. So I'm not really I've never gotten into like factory building games before I picked up Satisfactory. Huh?
Like Factorio?
Yeah. So before I picked up Satisfactory, I tried the demo to Factorio because I was kind of like, maybe I should wait on Satisfactory, but this Giant Bomb video makes a game like this look like something I really want to try. And I thought the demo for Factorio was impressive, but I ultimately decided to just try Satisfactory instead. And I ended up staying up until like 2 a.m. last Saturday night working on Satisfactory stuff. And like, it's extremely rewarding and entertaining. I built like this huge factory that like iron ingots from a smelter go into this building, and then inside of the building through different conveyor tracks, like, you know, it comes in and in one, it splits into two, and half the ingots go into a thing that produces metal plates and half the ingots go into a thing that produces iron bars. From there, because I need iron plates all the time, that splits off and some of it goes into my warehouse, which I also built. But then it also like puts the ingredients up into assemblers that make different things out of the iron. So like it'll make like rotors and hardened reinforced plates and stuff. And it's so satisfying to run the conveyors around and sort of see where things go. You then have to deal with like power requirements for the different devices, because everything is on like you can build like generators and stuff. And I found that like, well, these generators are great, but the best fuel that I can make is this biofuel. So you can put like leaves and stuff in the generators, but it's better if you put biomass in the generators, which you craft from leaves. But it's best if you put biofuel in the generators, which you craft from biomass. So I built like a power plant. Well, not really a power plant, but a fuel factory where I'm like dumping leaves into one thing and then it's conveying them around so that eventually fuel comes out. So it's that kind of game where you're building these networks of conveyor belts and power and stuff and crafting things and automating everything and getting to a point where like trying to get to a point where like your whole factory just runs itself. And it's really, really fun to figure out how to do that. And you run into little speed bumps that are like, oh, well, actually, since I'm splitting this here, I'm running into an efficiency problem here. Whereas if I put this in this place, or instead just build another constructor and split the ingots that are coming out into different producers, it's fun. You get those kinds of problems and it's entertaining to try to figure it out. And it doesn't feel like work in the way that, to me anyway, in the way that sometimes those kinds of things could, because it's also fun to move around and to like, you can build a network of jump pads in your base where you like fling yourself across your base into a thing of jelly on the other side that like catches you and stuff. Like just a lot of clever ways that you feel like you're not just like pushing spreadsheets around. And I played, I think like about a third of the content that's in the early access build that's current. I'm excited to go back and play more. Because it's like there's a lot there to do, and I don't know, like it's very inviting and it's accessible in a way that you can or like it's very easy to get into and learn how to play it. And everything makes a lot of sense. And it kind of was is a contrast to the experience that I've been having playing Astroneer for a little bit, which is a game that I have followed for a long time, and sort of early on I put a lot of time into it, and then I put it down to wait for 1.0. I still hadn't sunk a lot of time into the 1.0 release until recently. And I should say up front, like both of these games are very good and they are doing different things. So like if either of them looks appealing to you, I would say I would recommend both of them. But I'm running into some issues with Astroneer that I think, having played Satisfactory so recently, is like exacerbating those issues. Even though they're very different games, they are both games where you craft things still, and they're both games where you need resources, and where moving resources and accessing resources is core to what the game, as core busy work in the games. And have either of you played Astroneer at all?
No, it's one of those like Minecraft-ish, like go build stuff, and where I'm just like, it's not for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't argue that it is for you. I would say it's different from, to me anyway, it's different from Minecraft because everything you build in Astroneer has a purpose.
Yeah.
Everything is like animal combat. Everything you build in Astroneer has a purpose. Everything is like, there's a difference because in Minecraft, you are kind of doing things for aesthetic reasons. You're putting, like in Minecraft, you put a door on something, right? Yeah. Like there's a reason to build a door. In Astroneer, you'll build like in my base currently, I have like a couple of, or a few things that are like crafters that I put resources on them, and then they can build things. And I have platforms that they're on. I have a storage platform. I have a research station, but I don't have any walls. I don't have any like doors or windows or anything, because it's all a network of things that do stuff. And so that's why I find it more appealing than something like Minecraft for me, because it's still a game where you're gathering resources. So that part is very similar, but it's a game where it feels like everything has more of a purpose, which definitely. I really like. But the issue that I'm having with Astroneer is like, Satisfactory is a game where the UI is largely, is the word that I'm looking for, diegetic. It's all, it's very like, you're pulling in the game space. Yeah. It's still a box that pops up, but like when your power blows and you use too much power, you have to pull a lever to like reset the fuse. And like when you are loading things into the space elevator, like there's a lever that you pull to say, launch this space elevator. It's all very tactile in a way that's very appealing. And Astroneer goes for that. The thing that Satisfactory does though, is it also recognizes when it should just give you a graph and when it should just give you numbers and just say like, this is your power output. This is the capacity. This is the consumption rate. And that is sort of missing from Astroneer in a lot of ways. Like they tried to make everything very like, not just in world, but also very like appealing to look at. And that sometimes can be like very frustrating. Like where I'm at with my base right now is like, I want to build something to give it power, because everything runs very slow when there's not enough power. And like your shelter that you start with by default generates a base amount of power. So you can really run anything you can run any one thing off of your base's power network that comes with it. Whereas but everything, like if I'm trying to run my research station and a constructor at the same time, it runs super slow because it's using up too much power and there's a bottleneck. The only way you know that is by noticing that things are running slowly and by observing like these little lines on the power connectors that are like lower when too much power is being used. It's very unclear. Like it doesn't really explain. And I think the tutorial maybe explains it a little bit, but the tutorial is not in the game world, like it's in sort of a separate space. So it's kind of hard sometimes to translate the stuff in the tutorial over to the game. And the tutorial also tries to tell you a lot of things with like icons and like pings and stuff like that. And I really wish sometimes that the game would just like tell me with text a thing, like let me, because it uses text in other places. Like the UI elements do use text, but it'll give you like, there's loads of icons that don't mean anything. It took me forever to realize that there were multiple tabs in my little research PDA that could show me like I couldn't figure out how to build a storage block to just put stuff on. And it turns out it's because I wasn't clicked into the right button on my PDA to see what I could research. And like, I'm sure plenty of people saw that and immediately realized that the things that I didn't realize were buttons and clicked through them and figured out that there was a thing you could do. But it's just kind of frustrating how unclear a lot of that stuff is and how much you have to kind of like, I found that I'm still playing it with a wiki open. And I kind of was hoping that as of 1.0, I wouldn't really need to do that because a lot of the information would be presented better in the game. So that's kind of frustrating to see. And then the other thing that I'm running into that's a huge frustration is like, I need to make glass in order to make a wind plant, which I want to do to put more power into my base. To make glass, I need to find quartz. And after running around looking for it for like 3 hours, I have not found any quartz at all. And when I look it up on the wikis and on forums, everyone's like, oh, look, there's quartz all over the place. And like, there isn't. And like, there's different landing sites. So some people were like, oh, if you don't get a good landing site that has these 5 elements around it, just restart the game because you need that. And I'm like, well, I don't want to restart because I am now like a few hours into this base and I've been building it up. So like the contrast to that is that moving around feels like is kind of delightful in that game. It's got some very cool ideas in terms of like the kind of objectives that you're going for. It feels very friendly in other aspects. Like I want to keep doing this stuff because the idea of advancing in it is really inviting and like the places it goes seem really interesting. I just wish it was a lot more clear about a lot of the stuff. Like I wish it would give me a graph that shows like, here's what's generating power and here's what's using it. And these are the numbers you should try to hit. Because like at this point, I'm going to make a wind thing, I think next, but it's going to take a lot of resources to do it. And it could be that I'd be better off making a solar panel, but I don't really know which one's going to be better because I don't have numbers to like compare them with. So a lot of that stuff would be nice. And then also like, if they're going to make resources that are uncommon at all in the world, really important to early progression, then they need to point you clearly in the direction of those resources. Cause like, or make them more specific to certain biomes or something. Cause like some people were like, oh, well, you should go in caves. And I went in this massive cave system right below my base. And again, not a single quartz rock. And I'm sitting there with the picture of what quartz looks like open. So I know I'm not like missing it. It's just not there. So that stuff is kind of frustrating. I have a good feeling about where the game goes. And because I Googled things, I saw that like, oh, well, if you set down the path of making a soil sampler, you can just make your own quartz out of soil. So like there's paths around that stuff. It just, none of it is really presented in the game. And it would be nice if it was more clear and more, give you more direction, I guess, from early on. I kind of thought we were there at this point with those kinds of games, because it is in the Minecraft where it's just Minecraft. It's like, whatever, you make a house and you figure out how to make food and that's fun. Yeah. There is an eventual goal, but like with Astroneer, the game is about getting to that goal. It's not about creative mode or anything. So it'd be nice if it was a little more propulsive down that path, but yeah, I don't know. I still think it's a really cool game. And I think I love the way it looks and handles and stuff. So I'm going to power through those issues because I could see really, really enjoying it once I have a full understanding of how everything works.
Nice. Well, just the three of us went quite long today.
I know.
But you know, I'm glad to be back with internet and able to talk once again weekly with y'all about video games.
Yeah. We have some business to take care of soon now that you have internet.
Yes. Some dark, dirty business. We'll figure out how we're gonna what we're gonna do about that.
We have another interested party that we need to work into those conversations. Oh yeah. Before we go, and we'll talk about more about this is a teaser for those podcasts. Pirates of the Caribbean in Kingdom Hearts 2 is the weirdest fucking thing because they look like real people and they look like way better visually than anything else in any of those games up to that point. Like, yes, it's a PS2 game, so you got to set expectations, but they look really good for a PS2 game, the Pirates characters. Dude. And they're like next to Donald and Goofy, and it freaks me out.
So, like, minor spoiler, but wait till you get to Kingdom Hearts 3, man.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's good. I mean this all in a good way. It's good how weird and creepy it is.
I don't want to. I've got thoughts about Pirates of the Caribbean and Kingdom Hearts 3, but
we'll get there. We'll have to do another. You and Chris did a spoiler cast, but we'll do another Kingdom Hearts 3 cast once I've gotten through there too. So,
anyway. Okay. Well, thanks for joining me on this episode 65 of Gaming Fix Presents. That's the YouTube. Gaming Fix Presents our podcast. Gaming Fix episode 65 on this April 14th or 13th, depending on where you are on that date line. It's Sunday where I am, but it might be Saturday. It's Saturday for Alex and Pat.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us. You can find me on Twitter at Coolslaw, COOLSL4W, and at PSN, wherever my new name will be. I think I know what it's going to be. I just have to change it. Alex, where can people find you?
Canada.
Okay. And Pat, best boy, where can people find you?
Find me at Jester PC on the internet.
All right. Thanks for joining us. Make sure you tune in next week for a very special episode. And, we're just going to leave it at that. Thanks for joining me, everybody. See you next week.
Bye.